Muslim who wants a different type of Islam and a pluralistic West. You make it much harder for them to defend their position when kids say, look what he said on TV. That's what they think of us anyway. I honestly will be more... We have to break, so be quiet. Back in a few... I'm in charge. Back in a few moments on the Michael Coren Show. We'll see you soon. Don't go away. Welcome back to your Michael Coren Show. It's halftime, and at halftime we reintroduced the panel. Fred McMahon, director of the Centre for Globalization. Is that a good thing?
It's a good thing.
Is it okay? Fraser Institute. Ted Belman, editor of IsraPundit.com, which is, I assume, a pro-Israel website.
Correct.
And James Clark, he's not part of that, I think. He's organizer of the Toronto Coalition to Stop the War, and Ricardo Greenspan, associate professor of economics at York University. In the commercial break, just continue for a moment, you were incredulous that I or anyone here could disagree with you.
No, not that you disagree with me, but it's not from knowledge.
It's a rather arrogant thing to say.
It's not an outrageous statement.
I mean, we're all informed people.
That's true.
There's wishful thinking,
yeah.
And if there is a full appreciation of the facts, you will understand this is what the religion has always been about, conquering the world. Islam means submission.
Yeah, to the will of Allah.
Pardon? Exactly. Yeah. And that's their religious duty. Just as Christians have a duty to missionize, Muslims have a duty to conquer the world.
From a bigger question.
But it is important to get this right, because I think you've misunderstood the context, perhaps. Welcome to my world, the daily death threats, the filthy this and filthy that, from radicals in the Muslim world.
I'm going to get them now.
Well, maybe you deserve. But hold on, please, sir. But within that, I could react by saying, they are all. That will be the reaction of the bigot. But to say, no, there is a minority within Islam which is very militant and very violent, and even within the religion itself, I want to question certain understandings. What does this really mean? But there has to be a dialogue. I think that's where we move forward. I have never moved an inch from the way I condemn militant movements within Islam.
Correct.
But you're simply ignoring and almost rejecting the millions of people within a religion who, without compromising on their faith, do believe in coexistence with others.
That is their faith. They are apostates if they don't agree with this.
That's not true.
It is their faith. I think this is a waste of time to give those ideas a platform when they're
well, no, but I am, because I'm the boss. Let us move on to Great Britain and Russia. It's just like Rudyard Kipling in the good old days, the great game, isn't it? So the Brits have expelled some Russian diplomats, and the Russians are now saying, how dare you? Well, I suppose when you do murder, you poison and murder an emigre, then there should be some sort of reaction. We have a foreign secretary in the UK right now, the son of a Marxist philosopher, who I suspect you may have read. This is not some conservative, but he believes that you have to react to Russian aggression.
You know, it's very difficult to figure out what's going on in Russia. Collectivism clearly destroys civil society, and Russian society has been stripped to the bone because of 70 years under Sovietism. But, you know, what they're doing now, what the game is very hard to figure out. And the amazing thing is that people on this side buy some of their things. The half-dozen interceptors that they want to put in to protect against rogue states in the Middle East are absolutely no threat to Russia's ability to turn Western Europe into a burning ember. And yet Russia is playing that card, and people on this side actually believe Russia, some people on this side, believe Russia has a point.
You say this side, you mean?
In democratic societies.
I thought you meant your side of the table.
No. I mean, it's absurd. This is an attempt to protect people from rogue states in the Middle East, and Putin's claims are entirely frivolous, and yet you find support for them here. What Russia's doing, what its game is, very difficult to say, other than that it seems to be beating its chest and wanting to become a global nuisance again.
Russia as well?
The killing of Litvinenko opened a window to Russia that had been quite hidden from, by the media in the West. The story was that the transition from communism to capitalism was going to bring prosperity and democracy.
Which media do you look at?
Well, that was the story in the early 90s, right? Sorry, that was the end of history, right? Big thing. Now we tend to downplay that argument, but that was a big movement, an enormous effort, political and economic effort. The outcome of that was the largest theft in probably in world history of state assets under the guise of privatization and deregulation and free markets, which went to all these people who amassed enormous fortunes, many of which are now in London, right? Impoverishment.
Don't you like Chelsea Soccer Club? What's wrong with you?
The impoverishment of the Russian people and the peoples are in the region, at the same time that the so-called democratic regime that was supposed to replace communism is a police state, and this is what Putin.
Are the gulags still there?
Look, there is repression.
Are the gulags still there?
There's no free media in this country.
In Russia?
In Russia?
That's not true.
No, well, it's
more
largely
free
true.
than under Soviet times.
I am